Okay, so for those who are joining us via the recording or live, my name is Dawn Cooper. I am the Assistant Vice Chancellor for College Access Initiative at the Board of Regents, and I am also the Gear Up Georgia Project Director for the state grant. This is the second series of our Career Exploration webinar series for students and parents, where we are trying to expose our students and parents to as many different careers as possible, particularly those that they might not likely know about were it not for this event. So I think that we have a little bit of feedback there. I think it's gone now, so great. Again, please make sure you type your name and organization in the chat, students and parents, school and school district. So right now, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. We're going to have a brief presentation, very short, brief overview of what FinTech is, and then we're going to move into the panel discussion. So I'm going to let our panelists and presenters introduce themselves. I'll start off with Ms. Levita Pullins. So Levita.
Hi, my name is Levita Pullins, and I am the Director of Experiential Learning for the Georgia Fintech Academy.
Great. America?
Good evening. My name is America Johnson. I am a student at Albany State University studying computer science with mathematics emphasis.
Thank you. Sabrina?
Hello, everybody. My name is Sabrina Netters. I'm a senior at Albany State University, and I major in computer science with a mathematics emphasis as well. I'm glad to be here.
Great. And Mr. Patrick Bush?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Bush. I'm a vice president with Wells Fargo on the data science and artificial intelligence team.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. And I see that those intros are still coming in the chat. So thank you guys so much for doing that. We appreciate it. So I'm going to turn it over to Levita to provide us with a brief overview of what FinTech is before we get into our panel discussion. Levita?
Okay. So, and I didn't say thank you, Dawn, for allowing me to come on this evening, but good evening, everyone. Just to give you a brief overview of FinTech. FinTech is something that we use in our everyday lives. I know we hear the word FinTech and some of us may not know or understand what that means, but FinTech is short for financial technology. And some examples of FinTech would be anytime you swipe a debit card or insert a chip, you're using FinTech. Anytime you are cash apping a friend, that's FinTech. Anytime that you are checking your bank account using your smartphone, FinTech. Ordering an Uber. So as you can see, we use FinTech on a day-to-day basis. FinTech in Georgia is booming pretty much. We have over 170 employers, FinTech employers in our state, and it's growing. Research has shown that by the year 2021, we'll need 5,000, that's next year, 5,000 FinTech employees. So we have a shortage. So that's why the Fintech Academy was created, in order to meet that shortage. The Fintech Academy was created by the University System of Georgia and FinTech employers. And so it's here to prepare students to go out into, the FinTech industry, into the FinTech world. FinTech could be very lucrative. Students could leave not high school, but college with an undergraduate degree making up to 6 figures. I've had one professor to share that his students leave his program making up to 80 a year. So that's pretty good. In addition to all of that, our transactions in Georgia, we have over 70% annually, which is that's $70 billion that are, that's going through our state. So anyway, so it's a very interesting industry. And if you'd like more information about the FinTech Academy, please, and I'll leave in our chat my email address and our website address. On that website, you will see our schedule of events for the fall. We have something every Thursday. We have an event. Some of our partners that are helping us with the events and our career advancement. I think this coming week we're working with Fiserv. FIS Global is one of our largest sponsors. Equifax. We've worked with Visa, Incom, Federal Reserve Bank, Toyota Financial Services, Regents Bank. So if you get the opportunity, just take a look at the website. At the bottom, you'll see our schedule of events. Click on registration, and you can sit in on any event on any Thursday, and it's free of charge. And the events are from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. But those events are built to help you understand fintech, and the employers join in. They talk about what it may take to get a position or an internship. So definitely it's worthwhile. And I'm going to cut it off there, and I'm going to turn this over to our wonderful panelists this evening. But thank you all for allowing me to share some information about fintech and the Fintech Academy.
Thank you so much, Levita. That was very, very helpful. And again, guys, she could do like a 2-hour presentation on fintech, but I asked her to keep it brief because there's just so much great information. I watched Levita do a workshop for us at Gear Up, and thankfully she's coming back to do a workshop at the State Partners Conference this year that will go into detail not only the college programs, but her partner is going to come and share the high school programs that are going to be available, that you guys can actually start getting engaged in these classes in high school. And so you can start reaching out to your principal and counselors and just let them know, hey, we want some fintech programs in our high school. Can you guys make that happen for us? So thank you for sharing your email, Levita. So I'm going to move into the panel. One of the things that we like to make sure that everyone knows on the panel is sort of where our panelists are coming from. So if you guys wouldn't mind our college students sharing what high school you attended, if that was in Georgia or not, and what school district. And so I'm going to have America and Sabrina share that really quickly.
Yes, I attended Westover Comprehensive High School. I just graduated class of 2020, and yes, that's in Albany, Georgia, the Dougherty County, in Dougherty County.
Okay, Sabrina.
I'm the same. Graduated from Westover Comprehensive High School in Dougherty County School District in Albany, Georgia, but I graduated in 2017.
Okay, great. And Mr. Bush, would you mind sharing your high school and whatever post-secondary degrees that you have earned and where those came from as well?
Yes, my name is Patrick Bush. I graduated from Dougherty High School in Albany, Georgia. I won't give you the year. It's been a long time since I graduated. I have a degree in English from the University of Georgia. So just to let you know, I graduated from Georgia in '97, and I've been in, I would say, the business world coding ever since then.
Great. Thank you. So, Miracle and Sabrina, I just want to ask you guys, what was it about the FinTech program that made you decide to apply and participate?
I was actually at a conference when I learned about the Georgia FinTech program, and I learned from Ms. Pullins, and she gave me a flyer, and she gave us an overview about the program, and so I was highly interested. And so when I went back to school and when I had to schedule for my classes, I was telling my advisor that I was interested in these courses because I knew that FinTech was going to be like one of the hottest areas like in the future, and we are also using them now. So I wanted to be a part of it and get experience with participating in the program. and also being aware of what opportunities that fintech has.
Thank you. Sabrina?
Well, yeah, my interest started. I attended a conference around like 2 years ago in Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I remember it because they had some of the best water I've ever had in my life. Um, it was interesting going around and learning a lot about finance and tech because I never imagined them two being together and being this huge of an industry. But it's interesting because it basically tells us how all these transactions and how all of this is happening. It's an interesting field that, you learn about financial literacy as well as tech, and those are two hot commodities right now. So that's why I've always been interested in fintech, and I think it's a good way to go.
Thank you, Sabrina. And Mr. Bush, could you let us know how you found your path to fintech? Because I understand that you did have an undergraduate in something different, but if you participated in any additional training or programs, or just how you, what path you took to get in a fintech career right now?
Well, my path, like I said, I started a while ago, I would say before the fintech industry became rather big. How I learned how to write code and how I began in the technical field is I just learned Access database. I was teaching myself how to do Access in Excel. And then I had an opportunity and I was hired at Wells Fargo at the bank, and I was hired as a manager. And since I was hired as a manager, I had an understanding of the banking industry, how everything works, but I also had a skill set that at that point in time, a lot of people were looking for. I was able to build databases, and I was able to utilize analytics and data to my advantage. So I had one of the senior VPs ask me to come up to his department. Basically, they needed someone that understood mortgage and understood the mortgage area from a financial standpoint. And they said, well, we'll basically teach you how to write code, because at that point in time, I didn't realize I didn't understand how to write code. But once I got up there, since I was already building databases and applications and Access, I caught on rather quickly because I was already writing code and not being aware that I was writing code. So that was about 10, 15 years ago. And ever since then, my career has just grown. So I've taken a lot of classes, a lot of courses, a lot of online courses, and a lot of just studying on my own, YouTube videos and things of that nature to understand how to work the resources that we have as far as fintech.
Thank you so much. So if you guys wouldn't mind, and we'll start over with America again. So Mr. Bush, I think what you spoke to students about is something that we try to relate to them quite often, is the importance of networking, building good relationships wherever you are, and then also being a lifelong learner. So not just stopping with whatever you learned in post-secondary, but continuing to strengthen your skill set and your education, and really work on being an expert in whatever your craft is as well. So that's a great testament to that. And thank you for that. America, can you all answer just in this order, sort of what a typical day is like for you in the FinTech program with regards to the classes, and then any type of exposure that you're getting in the program to any type of internships or other employers or things like that within the program?
Yes, I did attend a virtual career event that was hosted over the summer. And so they talked about some of the open positions for the upcoming summer and spring for different fintech positions at different banks as well. And my classes, I take about, this semester I take 2, and they are financial technologies and commercial banking. And so with those courses, they are fully online. So I take notes from the PowerPoint lectures that my teachers provide. And then we also have weekly quizzes. And this week I do have a midterm exam for my financial technology class. And so, yes, I just make sure that I focus and copy notes because it's not an in-class class. So I know how to pay more attention and to the small details that goes on in the PowerPoint lectures. And since it's FinTech is always changing, sometimes we have different videos that are uploaded as well, so we can have great insight on what is going on now in the world and how it will affect the future.
Thank you. And so, America, what would you say has been your favorite course so far, and why do you enjoy that course?
I took information technology security, well, security and FinTech. That's what it was called. And I took that last spring, and it was one of the most interesting courses that I have taken in FinTech because it dealt with cybersecurity. And with my computer science degree, I believe I want to go into the path of cybersecurity or artificial intelligence. But cybersecurity is one of my main interests. And I learned about some of the viruses that has gone on since computers have been invented, as well as how to prevent them. And so that was quite interesting to me, and me being able to research and see how have companies kept their software and their networks safe and confidential from outsiders.
Thank you so much. Sabrina, could you also share sort of what your typical day of classes is like, what kind of exposure that you've gotten to different companies, and then also what your favorite courses that you're taking and why that's your favorite course right now?
What a typical day for me would be like is just a bunch of learning, taking notes, and paying attention, like really detailed attention to what's going on. I am a computer science major, so I really have I do a lot of tech and a lot of coding so far. I'm also a mathematics major, so I also have to pay attention to the math part. That also gets to come into play with the finances. It's much easier to like balance all of that. I actually like the foundations of FinTech courses. I really like FinTech in general because I just like learning about financial literacy because I never knew anything about it. And I just need to know more in order to like, progress in life and to not, I guess, get caught up or anything. And thankfully, thanks to my professor, Dr. OR, I've been exposed to like all these different FinTech opportunities, the different conferences they have, the different companies that work with FinTech and all that they offer, the different positions that they have, ranging from they have like the mainframe, data analyst, and it's like just a lot of positions for anybody really, whether it's business, computer science, marketing, you can join FinTech.
Thank you. So, Mr. Bush, could you give us sort of on the full-time employed side, what a typical day is like for you in the FinTech industry, and one of the things you sort of enjoy most about your job?
All right. Well, the typical day, I've been blessed enough to be working in this industry, artificial intelligence, for, like I said, about 6-7 years. So I'm at the stage of my career where I basically work from home. So a typical day of mine is I wake up in the morning and, get my coffee, and I might spend a couple of hours writing some code from the previous day. A lot of people, when you get into this field, FinTech, and I appreciate what Ms. Johnson, Ms. Netta said, they brought up some good points. One of the first points is that everything changes. I mean, nothing is the same. And I love that about this field. It's never the same. Another thing that you want to keep in mind when you come into this field is that, as Ms. Netta says, it's wide open. So you can pick and choose basically what you want to do, what skill set you feel you bring to the table, and you can utilize that to your advantage as you grow within this industry. There's one thing that I would tell everyone getting into this field, and it's a misperception. I don't spend all day writing code. As a matter of fact, I probably spend about 5% of my time writing code. The majority of my time is working with my business partners, trying to understand their processes and working with them, developing those processes and building out the processes before I even start writing the code. The code is relatively easy. So you still want to maintain and understand that you have to, as you said before, networking, getting along with people, communication skills. Those things are probably more important now in the fintech industry than they were ever were. The coding part is, once you get the coding, trust me, it's easy. It becomes simple. Not to say that coding is simple, but you have to be able to and willing to learn new languages all the time. But the concept is the same. The challenges that I see a lot of people have is going beyond the coding and working on the networking skills, learning how to work with individuals, how to talk, because you're basically going to become the SME in whatever industry that you or whatever department you work on because you write the code. So the expectation is you will know the process as well, the ins and the outs. So that's something that I would want everyone to keep in mind. And then also when you think of fintech, you want to think of financial tech. Sometimes we just think of a bank as being for money. You know, I work at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. We still do fintech. You know, we have mortgages, assets. You have credit cards. You have loans. So a lot of those departments is not just the money part as far as, you know, credit or what you see as far as a bank, what we typically think a bank is. But you would want to realize that there's other segments of the bank that require fintech. Like I said, mortgages, credit cards, auto loans, things of that nature.
Thank you so much for that. And that's really important to understand. I think a lot of folks who are interested in banking, finance, or things that you have the ability to excel in because of your technical skills or your skills with numbers, underestimate how important it is to be able to communicate and network, build relationships and that sort of thing. So what would you say, just sort of to expand upon that, what would you say is the one thing that you've done in order to help you be able to make those great relationships and connections and networking with your clients and your fellow colleagues to allow you to be able to advance and grow in this industry? Because I don't think a lot of students understand the importance of building that skill and growing that skill as they continue professionally.
Yes, one thing that I've learned and one thing that I try to do is, number one, your work speaks for yourself. When I started at Wells Fargo, I made it a precedent. If one of my managers, at this point in time, I was trying to grow my career and I was young, one of my managers would tell me something to do and I would go out of my way to deliver it, understand it, and be before the deadline. You know, in the business world, in the banking world, you have a lot of deadlines. You have to meet deadlines every day. And once you start understanding the importance of deadlines, you're going to want to meet those deadlines because the first impression is your best impression. And you want to make sure that you have given it your best shot in the beginning. Another thing that I've learned, and it's something that a lot of people have trouble with when they're coming out of college, it's called humility. And that's something that I've noticed that a lot of kids, when they first come out, anyone, when they first come into the banking industry, you have to learn how to listen first. One thing that I learned is I went and got a lot of mentors. And those mentors taught me those soft skills. Those mentors are those individuals that helped me to understand what professionalism was. And you want to be aware that sometimes your mentors are probably the people that you don't like in the beginning. You know, my best mentors, we did not get along. But as I got to know them, I understood that they were just telling me the truth. Can I handle the truth? Can I handle the things that I need to work on to make myself better and not take it personally? It's not a personal world in the banking industry. It's something that's very forthright and it's something that's very straightforward. So you want to develop a tough skin, but you definitely want to be humble, willing to learn, and give yourself time. You're not going to come out and automatically be able to say, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Anyone, I tell anyone in this, anyone, and I mentor a lot of people, whenever you graduate, it is going to take you 5 to 6 years of you working your tail off before you get to where you really want to be. And there is no other way around that. So you have to be willing to work and give yourself time and know that within time, you're going to achieve those goals that you want to have.
That is amazing advice. I wish we could put some of that on a billboard somewhere, Mr. Bush, because that is very golden. I would say for all the students and parents who may be just joining us, just as a reminder, please make sure that you put your name, your school, your district in the chat so that we'll know that you're here, as well as any other staff that are joining us. And we are recording this, so if you missed the first part of it, we will have it on our YouTube page. So you also brought up some organization skills and deadlines and time management. So Miracle and Sabrina, could you talk from a student perspective, because you obviously have deadlines associated with school with this program that you have to meet. Could you talk a little bit about how you organize yourself on the school level to get organized and meet your deadlines that you have, especially as they continue to grow in number?
Yes, so the first thing I do each week, I plan my week with writing down in my planner. I bought a planner for this semester. And so each week I start off by putting down what I have planned for the week. And so I write down my assignments that I have due, tests that I may have, and any other events that I'm participating in, like this one. And so I try to get my work done ahead of time, but if I don't, of course, I get it done by the due date. And it is important to have great time management skills because you will need that in your career as well. So time management goes a long way from school to your job and everyday life. And so I just try to not procrastinate and to go ahead and get all of my assignments completed so that on the weekend I have time to, hang out with my family and do something that I want to do, maybe just watch TV or just anything. So I try to get all of my work done during the school week and not waste time and always use my time wisely.
Thank you. Sabrina, you're a little further along in the program. What do you have to add with regards to time management, meeting deadlines, getting organized, and that sort of thing for our students?
I definitely agree with Miracle in that time management is super important. I will definitely say there are times where you can start slipping with your time management, but it's quite easy to get back on track if you're dedicated. I know procrastination can get the better of some of us, but really just have like a planner or a calendar to write down what you need to do throughout the week, or like write down your assignments, like have time to study. And that way later on you don't have to catch up on the weekend with all your work and take away from your social life and all of that. But I do agree that planners are great to have, and time management is a great skill to build on. Definitely. And don't procrastinate, because that's not good. Yeah.
Okay, so the word of the day, 2 words of the day: don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. Definitely across the board. Mr. Bush, could you share any of the tools that you mentioned, because you really started this conversation off around meeting deadlines, and you obviously probably are going to have even more to meet with the variety of clients that you have and projects and things like that. So could you talk about some of the tools that you utilize in order to ensure that you're meeting all of your deadlines, whether or not it's a planner or something electronic or anything like that, and what drives you to continue to stay organized as well?
Well, definitely. Right now, we do have an internal tool that's called Jira System, which helps me to organize my day. One thing me and my manager do every week when we meet, we have a discussion: what's important and what's a priority. And those two things sometimes can be confused. People can look at something as being important, but it's not necessarily a priority. So we're learning how to differentiate between priorities and importance. You know, it's important to go get food from the grocery store, but does that take priority over the fact that I have a sick kid? So those things you have to address and understand. What has helped me to really understand the importance of time, and I would say this from a wealth and from a financial perspective. I've been in it's one thing that I noticed in the bank. I always thought that wealth meant money. I always thought that wealth meant assets. But as I grew in the banking industry, I realized the one thing that the wealthy people have or own that a lot of people do not own is tomorrow. And that is what wealth is. Wealth is basically living in the future and preparing yourself for tomorrow. And what I try to challenge myself with every day when I wake up is to make sure that I've taken care of what needs to be done tomorrow. So that when tomorrow comes around, all I have to do is pick it up and do what I have to do to get things accomplished. And that is a concept that a lot of people have to work on. I was listening to the young lady, I think it was the lady who's over the GEAR program. I apologize, I can't remember your name. She was talking about how much money is available and how much opportunity is available in this industry. And I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that the money isn't good. But what makes my job pleasurable is that I own my time. I work from home. I can dictate when and what I want to do when I want to do it. And when you have ownership of your own time, which is what this opportunity allows you, you do manage it better. You will find yourself being a little bit more strict with what you think is important, and then differentiating that and understanding what is a priority. And you're going to attack a lot of our priorities, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, this is important, but your priorities come first. And I think once you understand that, it makes time management that much more easier.
That is such an important point, particularly for our students in this virtual learning environment, something that they may not be accustomed to, but that skill is just incredibly important. So understanding the difference between what's important and what's a priority is just huge. So thank you so much for sharing that. Such great information, you guys, even beyond FinTech itself, but just working and being a good student in general. So speaking of FinTech and FinTech companies, Amiriko and Sabrina, do you have any thoughts about the type of company that you like to work for? So if you had your dream opportunity and dream job, what company and what field of FinTech do you think you would pursue? And why? What about that company and that specific part of FinTech? Because it seems to be just a wide variety of opportunities and careers and things like that. But talk about what it is that you would say your dream job in FinTech would be right now, and your dream company and why.
Yes, I would say my dream job would be working in cybersecurity in FinTech. I don't have a particular company right now, but any company is fine. Since I have attended some of the career opportunity events, I do have a list of companies that I do like Pfizer, FIS, Regents Bank, Deluxe, and all of them have a friendly environment, and they all are welcoming and are actively seeking for young employees that are in the STEM fields. And so I enjoyed that. And I also would like to do cybersecurity because it's amazing how, like, when you're coding or you use a certain software to secure your systems, even your mobile phone and your personal data, to where no one, like cyber criminals, can get in and hack your things. And so, and I know hacking has become kind of popular a little bit over during the time of the pandemic, like spam emails and fake emails and things like that. And so I did research how some companies are going about that, and they are really securing their personal data, well, the customer's personal data, to keep their data confidential, as well as available to only that particular customer and not any outsiders, and keeping it private so that it can stay secure and protected. So that is something that I want to do.
Thank you, America. It looks like you've done some research on what you want to do, and also on those companies, and not just the job, but the environment in that company culture as well. That's really important.
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes. My interest right now is like with design and development. I was thinking with financial tech. You know, a lot of finance companies typically have websites and apps that constantly need developing, designing, and updating. So that would be a good place for me to be at, since that's what I want to do. I haven't really narrowed down a company. I know I've been working close with IBM recently, but I've always been interested in things like FIS and Deloitte as well. And also the different banks like Renaissance. But I've always been interested in, yeah, that would be my career choice, would be like development and design, especially with updating apps or mobile websites to fit the user's needs. That way they actually enjoy their experience on these apps and continue to use it.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Bush, can you talk a little bit about what you enjoy about the Wells Fargo environment and the position that you're in right now? And then also any knowledge that you have about other companies that you either have worked with or that you know about that would be great places to work in fintech positions.
Okay. Definitely. The one thing I just love about my job is the data side, the analytics side. I'm really looking into going a whole lot more into artificial intelligence. That's just something that I guess being a data guy and understanding numbers and trying to understand the statistics and how things move about through numbers is something that's always interested me. Well, it's interested me now. I hated math and science when I was in school. So I don't know what happened. I guess once I got involved in the field and I understood the concept of math and it became less abstract, I started to gravitate towards that. So that's something that I love doing. And of course, I love writing the code. When you're looking at the fintech industry, sometimes you may want to look at organizations that work on the back end of fintech industries as well, on the back end of banks. Like there's a company called Black Knight. Black Knight is a company that houses all the data for all of the banks. And that company is the company that drives out all of these forecasts and number forecasts that you may see on CNN or whatnot. So there are a lot of back-end companies that hold the data that require fintech assistance as well. So that can open or broaden your scope outside of just what you would think of as a bank. Because when you come into the fintech world and the banking industry, the fintech industry is probably going to be limited to maybe the top 5 or 6 banks out there. This is a relatively, I won't say it's a new technology, but it's something that a lot of the bigger organizations would probably be more funding and looking or building out. A lot of your newer companies are just getting involved. And if I were an individual that was coming out of school, I would look at a company that is probably have the structure in place to help me along my path. It is a challenge to work with a company or a small company and that structure hasn't been defined, or if their needs, they're not aware of their needs, because what would happen sometimes, and I warn everyone about this, is that you may see a position out there and they have like, I need someone with 6 or 7 skill sets. You want to be careful with that because that's basically saying that they're not aware of what they're trying to do as an organization. And if you get that job, the expectation is that you will be able to do everything. And as I'm quite sure Sabrina and Ms. Johnson can tell you, whenever you're out in the world and computer, it's so broad, data and computer science is so broad that it's impossible for me to be able to know everything. I get that challenge sometimes, and I tell people what I do. Can you fix my computer? Well, that's completely different than writing code. Or can you do this? Well, that's completely different than what I do. And you don't want to fall into that trap when you're young trying to build your career and you find yourself in a position where the expectation is that you should be able to do everything. So really be aware of what it is, just like Sabrina and Ms. Johnson said, what it is that you really want to do and stay focused on that. And and I'm glad that you brought up understanding the companies, because I do want to reiterate, you do want to be aware that if you can go to the wrong company not because the individuals are bad, but because they don't have the structure in place, and you might not get the experience that you deserve or need to help you grow in this career.
Thank you so much for that. That's such valuable information. Again, want to make sure anybody who's joined recently to make sure that you type in your name, who you are, student or parent, in the chat, your school, as well as the district also. So this has just been great. I wanted to pause just for a moment because you guys have shared such great information. Are there any questions at all from any of the students, parents, or staff on the call? They've just shared so much great stuff. I'm looking forward to sharing this recording for folks who missed it. Any questions at all from anyone on the call as well? You can either speak out or put it in the chat. Okay. So I guess the last thing I'd really love to, and you guys have shared some of this information so far. So again, if you've already shared pretty much all you would have to say on this topic, that's totally fine. But I'd like to close out with, well, two more questions. So the first one is, what is it about this field that people might make an assumption about? But like, a lot of people make assumptions about fintech, and sort of a myth that you have dispelled with your experience in the industry. So something that you have heard people assume, or maybe you had an assumption about before you got involved, that you've noticed is absolutely different than what your initial assumption is, or what other people's initial assumption have been in this field. So we'll start with you again, Miracle.
Well, my assumption was, I didn't know what fintech was until a year ago, when I attended one of the conferences and got involved in the courses. And once I got involved in the courses, I was able to correlate that with my computer science courses that I have already taken, as far as like with machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science. So taking these fintech courses and learning more about fintech has helped me to handle my computer science courses as well, as far as spending more time paying attention to close details and using my time wisely, and just pacing myself, and also with being able to go about answering questions like on other assignments that I have in computer science.
Okay, great. Sabrina?
Okay, my assumption was that, an assumption I had was that it's not going to be interesting, because I did not like finances at all. That I switched from a business concentration to a mathematics concentration because I took accounting and I did not like it at all. I was always kind of scared of finances because I never truly understood the literature that they use. Like, if you say a loans, mortgage, I tune it out because I don't know what's going on. But that was my assumption, but I realized that it's more to it. There's a lot to learn. You're always learning, and it's for your own good too. And I also assumed that I just never thought you could, like I said earlier, combine finances and tech together. But here we are with like a huge industry that's very impactful right now.
Okay, great. Mr. Bush, anything that you know you'll be dispelling a myth about with FinTech?
The two biggest myths, and I think the biggest myth is that there's only so many positions out here in FinTech, and that's just not true. There is a need for all kinds of people with different skill sets in FinTech. It's bigger, way bigger than what I thought it would ever be. So many opportunities, so many different career paths available that I think there's room for everybody to get involved. And number two, I think I said it earlier, you're not going to be spending a lot of time writing code. That's something that, to me, that has really, really been such an eye-opener for me. I came into this industry thinking that I would be just sitting in the corner writing code all day, and someone tells me what they need, and I put the code in there, and it works. And at times I like that. But in order for me to grow, I had to get myself out of that box and realize that coding is such a small part of FinTech. It is such a small part of artificial intelligence. It's such a small part of data science that is basically a tool that you use to help you become a data scientist. It's a tool that you use to help you in the FinTech industry. It is not the industry, it's just a tool.
Thank you. Melissa, did you have your hand up for a question?
Yeah, I did. I had it up for a reason. Patrick, could you tell us the name of the tool you use to help you organize? You mentioned the name of it, and I was trying to write it down.
Well, that tool is specific to organizations. It's called Jira, but that's like a in-house tool that is sent out to a lot of industries and data scientists to help us manage a data science work. So that's something that helps me to organize my work. But I don't think that you would find that out there as for someone to use if you're not in the business world, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I thought maybe you had like a great organizing app that we could hop on or something.
Oh, no. I don't have I mean, to be honest with you, what I use is Excel. So, but that's just me. I have an Excel spreadsheet. My wife laughs at me. I have an Excel spreadsheet that has all these formulas on there. So like for my bills, for what I needed to have done every day, I put it all on an Excel spreadsheet and have it organized. But that's just how my brain functions.
Got you. Thank you for that. We do have a question in the chat from a student. I believe it's a student. I apologize if it's not. But for someone who wants to become a financial analyst or a budget analyst, how does that correlate with FinTech? And what is the most popular bachelor's degree that you guys see people pursuing that are going into FinTech?
Okay, well,
and anyone can answer that.
One thing is terms, and definitions, and that is a challenge right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up a financial analyst and give you the exact definition of that. And I can tell you how it works in our world. They all work with each other. So let me look this up real quick. And one thing too, you realize when you write code, Google is your best friend.
I think I remember somewhere that they use a lot of financial analysts in like startup companies especially for financial service startup companies. So it could be good with that, especially with fintech growing and getting bigger. They'll definitely need somebody to take care of the finances and analyze data and talk to the clients. So I think that's where it could fit in with fintech. But I have to really look up the definition to see too.
Yeah, you hit it right on point, Ms. Netters. What a financial analyst does is they compare and analyze the actual results with plans and forecasts. So basically what I would do, that's part of what a data scientist would do. I would, a team member will come to me and say, Patrick, can you pull data for all the homes that are foreclosed in Florida? And I would take that data and then I would give it to maybe a financial analyst, and they would look at the financial impact of that data and they'll trend it out and they'll forecast it out. They say, well, based off of these trends, this is what our forecast should happen going forward. But the financial analyst and the business analyst play that same function right there.
Okay, thank you so much. Did that answer the question for the person in the chat who asked that question? Okay, awesome. We got a yes, so great. Okay, let's see, did I see another question pop up here? Yes. So the other question was, now that we are moving more towards a paperless currency society, Apple Pay, Bitcoin, etc., what, if any, role does fintech play in this direction movement that's happening, that's occurring right now, that's this shift? And it's been going for a while, but it's definitely increased right now. So that's a great question. So anyone can take that.
That's a great question. I tell people this all the time. I've never seen money at a bank. And that's very important because, as I stated earlier, wealth is time. A paperless currency society is already here. Paper money, there are two different economies. There's the economy that's functioning off of credit and everything that's fintech, and everything that's functioning off of paper, the $100 bill. And I always tell people, if you have a $100 bill, then you're in the wrong economy, because you really can't use that for anything. If I gave you a suitcase and there was $1 million in that suitcase and it was all cash, you can't buy anything because you don't have purchasing power. And the purchasing power that is now being used by people all around the world is Apple Pay, Bitcoin, credit cards, or debit cards. All of that is changing the value, what exactly money is. Money is now just a calculation of transactions. And that's something that the bank does. When you invest or when you are putting your money in your bank, you're not putting money in a bank. What you're doing is you're investing in your trust. You're trusting that this bank is going to calculate your transactions correctly. In the banking industry, the biggest thing that we try to make sure that we hit are all of the, not basically our credit score, but our score with how we deal with our customers, our trust. And that's what you're investing in the bank, and that's called trust. And I can go on about this with blockchain currency and Bitcoin, but that'll be a whole different situation. That could take up a lot of time, and I know that we're short on time. But you do have to realize that that we already live in a paperless currency society, and fintech is leading that revolution and has been for some time.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Any other questions? We may have time for maybe one more, if it's a short one here. So let's see what this question is here. I apologize, my screen just kind of moves me out of the chat mode. Are individuals being tipped? Okay, can you guys testify to this, and if you rather not speak on it so that you don't incriminate yourself, you can do that as well. Whatever direction you like to head with your answer.
I get this all the time because I'm a nerd, so I tell everybody, do you have a cell phone? If you have a cell phone, you're chipped. That's basically what a cell phone is. It's calculating everything that you're doing. It's gathering data. It's everything that you're doing. They calculate your heart rate, and as you go along data, all that's being stored. So, I'm not trying to be nerdy or whatnot, but if you have a cell phone, you basically being followed. So.
All right. So the answer to that is yes. If you have a cell phone, you are already chipped. So, so thank you for that. So we are going to close out now. It is 6:56, and I want to make sure I respect our panelists' time here. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, everybody, please raise a hand, and thank all of our amazing presenters and panelists for their time and energy and information. This has been quite outstanding. So please, raise your hand, put something in the chat, however you would like to let them know how much we appreciate their time and their information. It is absolutely invaluable. And I just look forward again. I'm just going to be smiling like a Cheshire cat when I put this on our YouTube page, because this is so awesome. So thank you guys for this time. I'd like for everybody to please, all those folks who are hiding, not turning those cameras on, to please turn your camera on very quickly, because we'd like to take a screenshot picture of as many people as possible on the call. So if you all would please turn your cameras on so that we can get a shot of everyone very quickly. So on 3, if we can do, I'm going to take 2 because Teams now has a together mode that I'm going to test out. So we'll do a one shot here on 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to experiment with this. Oh, we have a large gallery. Okay, so let's see how that works, guys. I am trying this for the first time. Okay, well, that's nice. All right. Good. Oh, my goodness. This is great. All right, so we'll try it again in the large gallery mode for Teams. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Great. So we do have a door prize as well. Initially, we only had door prizes for Gear Up Week, but we also have one that's available for this particular workshop. And so the student winner of the door prize for tonight is Sophia Kona with Thomas County Schools. Sophia, are you still with us? Sophia, you there? All right, Sophia, going once, going twice. Oh, Sophia. All right. Oh, wait, no, I see Sylvia Kona is typing. Okay, yes, ma'am, I am here. Okay, awesome. Yay, wonderful, wonderful. So, Sophia, please make sure that you send an email to gearupgeorgia@usg.edu with all of your contact information, name, mailing address, email, and phone number. Again, thank you all so much for being here, everyone. We appreciate your time, especially our guests. You are amazing. And thank you for sharing such great information and investing your time in our students this evening. Everyone have a great evening, and we will see you at the next, hopefully the next Career Exploration webinar, Gear Up. Have a great evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.